What is up, the Lions fans?
It's your show. We are back. You already know what time it is.
It is time for the YAK Pod episode number 86.
Fix my hat. Fix my hat.
All right. So as I said, you already know what time it is. It is time for the YAK Pod episode number 86, and we have got some stuff to talk about. And that's stuff that we have to talk about today. It's some craziness. It's some wild stuff. But before we go ahead and get into that, I'm going to go ahead and smash that like button, do all those things that, you know, we always ask you to do. Share. Let everybody know what's going on in this kitchen. It's illustrious. It's wonderful. It smells great. Now, let's get to the business at hand. We have a list. We have another list. And this list has been floating around for a couple of days. And it kind of flew under the radar. I don't know how it flew under the radar, but it kind of flew under the radar. Just a little bit. And I just want to say that this list is absolutely utterly ridiculous. I don't know how PFF is so respected around the football league. I guess it's all the work that they put in. I guess all the content that they put out. I guess it's all of these different things. I don't exactly know. Because as we saw, if I can go back a little bit, as we saw on the top 25 players under the age of 25, as we saw on that list, there were some issues with having Amon-Ra St. Brown below. It was only two spots, but it was below Garrett Wilson. And the issues with that was the fact that PFF themselves said that Garrett Wilson was the 19th best receiver in the football league. The 19th best receiver in the NFL. This is what they said about Garrett Wilson. They said Amon-Ra St. Brown was the number 3 wide receiver in the NFL. So Garrett Wilson is number 19, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is number 3, and both under 25. And somehow, some way, Amon-Ra St. Brown is two spots below Garrett Wilson. Again, the number 3 is better than the number 19. See, I don't know if you guys know this, but when you do these lists, the further you are away from number one, I don't want to say the worse you are. Because everyone in the NFL is a great football player. Everyone in the NFL was probably I actually can't even say that. Because there's a lot of guys in the NFL that are highly recruited, yada. So that's more like the NBA. But if we're talking about the percentile of football players make it to the NFL, we're talking about these are the number one guys. Right? These are in the 0.0001 percentile out of all the football players in the world. Because we can't just say America because football is an international game now. But they're in the top. The 0.0001 percentile people that make it to the pinnacle of football. When you talk about the national football league, when you talk about professional football. So even when we say a player sucks or he's not good, blah, obviously he has made it all the way to the NFL. You said there's an echo? Let me fix that. Hold on. I thought we had fixed the echo situation. Let me put this in here. One second. Up. Testing. Testing. I cannot hear an echo. Let me see what the issue might be. All right. Is there still an echo? Is there still an echo? Let me know if there's still an echo, because I can't hear it. All right. Let me see if I can solve this issue, because last time we did not have any echoes. So let's see. All right. What about now? Is there an echo now? Can you hear an echo now? Okay. So it's clear now? All right, good. So there's no echo now. We'll get back to what we were talking about. Appreciate you. Here's Johnny for letting me know. I don't know what that was, but all right, no problem. So as we were saying, these people that have made it to the NFL, they are in the top upper echelon, the 0.00001% of people who have made it all the way in their profession. There are millions of football players across the globe now, because, football is now a global sport. As you will see in 2028 when they have the Olympics, and there will be flag football in the Olympics. Now, that's not full contact, that's flag, but it's a derivative of our game. They even play it in the Pro Bowl. So we can't say that these guys suck, but in comparison to other people who are in the NFL, you may suck, right? In comparison to regular people, you don't suck. But in comparison to other NFL players, you are not as good. Let's just say that. So the fact that you have Garrett Wilson, who you openly admit is the 19th best receiver in the NFL, above Amon-Ra St. Brown, who you openly admit is the number 3 wide receiver in the NFL, that to me makes 0 sense. So now they've followed it up. They've followed it up with another list. I'm not going to show you the list until the end. Because I don't want you to see who number 1 is. This is the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC. And this is Trevor Sikkema for PFF, who I believe is a Bucks beat reporter or something of that nature. He has something to do with the Bucks. He covers the Bucks in some capacity. So he contributes to PFF, and his list of top 10 NFC quarterbacks. We're going to start with number 10. Number 10 is, I don't want to say just as laughable as number 1, but number 10 makes 0 sense, because you're saying these are the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC, which means that these people should have shown you something over the course of their careers in the NFL to be on this list. Well, no, Mr. Sycamore put a rookie on this list, a rookie who, by all accounts, struggled very mightily in OTAs. And that is Chicago Bears rookie quarterback who has not thrown a single NFL pass, who has not taken a single snap in the NFL. And we're talking about not even in the preseason, because he hasn't gotten to the preseason yet. That guy is Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams being the number 10 quarterback in the NFC, just it either makes zero sense or it shows you how bad the NFC is as far as quarterbacks. Now, here is a situation where you can say, well, there are only 16 quarterbacks in the NFC. So that means that Caleb Williams has to be better than 6 of them, right? Appreciate you here, Johnny. I don't know if he is better than 6 of them, because the Washington Commanders have Jaden Daniels, who's also a rookie. Can we say that Caleb Williams is better than Jaden Daniels? We don't know what either one of them are going to do in the NFL. Now, the Minnesota Vikings have J.J. McCarthy, who is also a rookie. However, Sam Darnold is the incumbent starter. I think that the Minnesota Vikings are going to make the mistake of starting J.J. McCarthy. I think they will. But if someone is smart up there, they won't start him. They'll let him sit behind Sam Darnold and learn. Is Sam Darnold worse than Caleb Williams? I don't know. But what I can say is that Caleb Williams has already turnover concerns. Sam Darnold, coming into the league, had turnover concerns. Maybe they're the same. But there is the comparison of Patrick Mahomes with Caleb Williams. And I think that is the reason why people are putting him in lists before he has done anything in the NFL. He can't be in a list. He's a rookie. It's not possible. But he's your number 10. Now, let's go through people. I don't want to give it away. So I just went up to Sam Darnold and I gave you Jaden Daniels and other people, because I don't want you to know who's on this list, because it's gonna spoil the surprise. So as we said, Caleb Williams is number 10. For what reason? I do not know. I can't tell you. Number 9 on this list is Geno Smith. Geno Smith being the number 9 quarterback in the NFC is not outrageous. I don't really have a problem with Geno Smith being there on that list. I don't. Kyler Murray is number 8. You could make a case that Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than number 8, but because he hasn't had the team success and because he's had some injuries and things of this nature, I can't say he's too low on the list. I can't say he should be higher. Roy says Jaden Daniels is legit. I think he may be, but as all rookies, I would like to see what they actually do first. They've got a lot of hype. I mean, look, Jamarcus Russell had a lot of hype coming into the NFL. Lots of hype. Terrible quarterback. Terrible player. Now, if you listen to if you go to the Pivot podcast and you watch Jamarcus Russell's interview explaining why he flamed out of the league, explaining all these different things, I don't think he explained it well enough to show us why he was so terrible. Because obviously he wasn't terrible in college. That's why he was the number 1 overall pick. But I don't think he explained what went on in his life well enough for us to understand how he was such a colossal bust. A magnanimous bust. A gigantic bust. That interview did not explain what went on there. All right. At number 7, guess who it is? Who do you think is number 7 on this list in the NFC? Who is number 7? I'll give you guys a guess. His name gets chanted all over the city of Detroit. Yes, it's Jared Goff. Jared Goff is number 7 on this list. I have some issues with that. Gun guy, shout out, man. Nice to see you here. I will not be taking my pants off, just to let you know. Goff is top 5, but on this list by Trevor Sikkema of PFF, Goff is number 7. All right. And if you didn't hear, Caleb Williams is number 10. You guys are going to get a huge kick out of number 1. So Goff being number 7, who had more yards and I think the same amount of touchdowns and interceptions as Patrick Mahomes, who had more yards and more touchdowns than Lamar Jackson, who had more yards and more touchdowns than Josh Allen. This guy is number 7 in the NFC. And oh, by the way, those yards and those touchdowns, those stats were not empty calories because we went all the way to the NFC Championship game and we were 1/2 away from going to the Super Bowl. So, how he's number 7 in the NFC makes no sense to me. I don't know. But he's number 7. Number 6 on this list. You guys ready for this? Number 6 on this list. A guy that didn't even really play last year. A guy whose record against Goff, I believe, is 2-2. Something of that nature, right? Because he didn't play in any of our games last year. He didn't play against us last year. A man named Pick Mullins. Not Nick. Pick Mullins. Pick Mullins played in those 2 games, and he threw us 6 interceptions, 3 in each game. But this man, who is number 6 and he's in front of Jared Goff, is Kirk Cousins. So we had a guy that didn't even play last year because of his Achilles. He played in some games. I can't lie. He played in some. I think week 7, something like that, is when he tore his Achilles. So we got a guy who played maybe 7 games, and we've got a rookie who hasn't played a single game and hasn't taken a single snap in the NFL who is on this list. And that guy who had his season shortened by injury is also better than Jared Goff, according to this list. Not comparing Super Bowl rings, Goff is our Tom Brady. I can see what you're doing with that. I can see where you're going there. All right. So that's number 6 on the list. Number 5 on this list. Number 5 on this list. Now, if you want to put him on this list above Jared Goff because he beat Jared Goff in the playoffs, you can put Brock Purdy on this list. Is Brock Purdy 2 spots above Jared Goff? Is Brock Purdy 2 spots above Jared Goff? Now remember, I said earlier that Jared Goff had more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen. He had the most passing yards out of all of those. More touchdowns than Lamar Jackson. I think more touchdowns. It was either the same or more touchdowns with Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. One of those he had identical. I think it might have been Josh Allen, 30 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He also had the best running back duo in the history of the NFL, with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs both going over 1,000 all-purpose yards or yards from scrimmage and 10-plus rushing touchdowns. What does that mean? That means they run the football. And and Jared Goff still threw for 4,500 yards. They run the football. To be very honest, the Detroit Lions are a run-first football team, and he still threw for 4,500 yards. Let that sink in. A run-first football team, quarterback throws for 4,500 yards. Both running backs go over 1,000 scrimmage yards. Now, a few of those yards obviously went to the pass game. Jahmyr Gibbs was about 50 yards short of having 1,000 rushing yards. David Montgomery had over 1,000 rushing yards. Very few pass yards or reception yards. Jahmyr Gibbs obviously had more reception yards, but it wasn't like a whole lot. And this man is number 7 on the list, and Brock Purdy is number 5 on the list. I don't understand what are the requirements other than, hey, I like this guy. Pretty much. Because if you go by any metrics, completion percentage, QBR, whatever, all of these advanced stats, analytics, record, I don't see a world where Brock Purdy is 5 and Goff is 7. I'm honestly not putting Purdy over Goff. If we're being honest, I'm not putting Purdy over Goff. Right Gun Guy says good balance of a team. Absolutely. It is a great balance. And the fact that we have a guy who can, in that balance, still go for almost 5,000 yards passing. I don't understand how he's number 7 on anybody's list. I just don't. But that's just me. I don't let, I let facts get in the way, and these guys they're not letting facts get in the way. All right. Number 4. Number 4. This is a guy that everyone loves to put over Jared Goff. And I don't know why. I know he had great potential down the stretch, the second half of the season. His first 9 games were absolute garbage. And we don't know if... Okay, so we've heard reports that it was the wide receivers not running the right routes, and they weren't on the same page with the quarterback. And once that happened, once they got on the same page, he became this guy. He became the Love Boat, or whatever you want to call him, whatever nicknames you want to give him. Jordan Love is number 4 on this list. I've got so many issues with this. It's not funny. It doesn't make any sense. Jordan Love's going to tank this year. Let's hope he tanks. But here's the thing about Jordan Love. Jordan Love came into Ford Field and carved up the secondary. Jared Goff turned the ball over 3 or 4 times. Maybe, I think in the Chicago game we had 4 turnovers. So Goff had another one of those games. At least 3, because he had a couple of interceptions and he had that fumble 6. And that that Jordan Love led team who won the turnover deficit by at least 3, beat us by 7 points. They beat us by 7 points. When we went into Lambeau earlier in the year, we beat the brakes off the Packers. Jordan Love was the reason that the Green Bay Packers went home in the playoffs. He was the reason. Jared Goff was not the reason that the Detroit Lions lost to the San Francisco 49ers. Jared Goff played a very clean game in that playoff game. Jared Goff played clean throughout the playoffs. He played clean in the Rams game, the Buccaneers game, and the San Francisco 49ers game. Jared Goff was not the reason that Josh Reynolds dropped 4th down pass, 3rd down pass. Now, we can talk about the last 4th down pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown, which wasn't a catch, wasn't a great throw, whatever. It was desperation. We had to have it at that time. But you can't tell me that Jordan Love in, we're going to say 9 good to decent or decent to good games. I think that Jordan Love got a lot of help from Dak in that playoff game. His defense did what they were supposed to do, and they beat the brakes off of the Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World. I think that was obviously Jordan Love did what he had to do in that game. That was a total team win. Jordan Love is not 3 spots better, if any spots better, than Jared Goff. Jared Goff, here's the thing. Jared Goff came into a very bad situation. Jared Goff was getting run out of town after his first year here. After his 3rd year here, people are chanting his name at Pistons games. People are chanting his name at Red Wings games. People are chanting his name, of course, at Lions games. The entire city loves Jared Goff. The entire city turned their back on Matthew Stafford, just like Matthew Stafford turned his back on us. But in order to let Matthew Stafford know that he was no longer welcome in Detroit, what did we start doing? We started chanting Jared Goff's name. Not because Jared Goff is a bum. Not because Jared Goff is a bridge quarterback, which is what we thought he was when he came here in that trade. Not because of any of those things, but because he's a very good quarterback. And he fits this offense, this team, and the city very, very well. So for him to be number 7 on the list and Jordan Love to be number 4 makes absolutely no sense. It is asinine. I don't even know how this list was put together. It's very laughable. Jane Doe says they were chanting his name at Tiger games. Right, the day he got his extension. So I forgot the Tigers. Forgive me. I hate baseball. Okay. So it's easy for the Tigers to slip my mind. And their City Connect, those are bad. I'm sorry if you like them. They're awful. They're awful. They look like a professional softball team. Right? Like a beer league professional softball team. This is terrible. They could have done so much more and so much better with those things. And they're just and once you saw the Lions and how they came out and they did their new uniforms, and then you just released that. I guess they were like, hey, we're just gonna ride the black and blue wave like the Lions did. That was poor. That was terrible. But anyway, as I said, Jared Goff being number 7 and Jordan Love being number 4, it's crazy to me. It's just absolutely crazy. We don't even know who Jordan Love is yet. We don't even know what he's going to do next season after there's a full season of tape out there. And this is the issue. There's a full season of tape. Now people know what he likes to do, what makes him uncomfortable, what makes him comfortable. And now defensive coordinators are going to be able to go out there and scheme up, take some things away from him, and we'll see how he does. Jared Goff, we've seen from bridge quarterback to get out of town. 3 years later, everyone's chanting his name at all the major sports games in Detroit. Not just the Lions, in Detroit. I don't know if anyone is doing that for Jordan Love. Love's having a sophomore slump, but is it even a sophomore slump though? Because this is what, his 5th year in the league now? Because he was sitting behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years, and also he wants his money. He may even be holding out. He has said, apparently, that he's not playing under his current deal because the Green Bay Packers wanted to save a few $1,000,000 and didn't pick up his 5th year option. So now he's got like 12. He's supposed to be playing for. I've heard differences from 11 to 13 and a half. And he's looking for a $50 million extension. He was looking at that Jared Goff extension and was like, I need that. Goody, get it done. And Goody's like, nah. Nah, we're not paying you $50 million, bro. So we'll see what that situation even looks like. Will Jordan Love be playing this season, or will he be pulling a Le'Veon Bell? I don't even know. Exactly, Roy. I mean, paying the dude after 6 decent games. I would say, well, again, I'm not looking at all of them in totality, right? So you'd say 6 decent games. We had the blowout game in the divisional round against the wild card round against the Cowboys, and then you had the choke job in the divisional round against the 49ers. We choked against the 49ers, but he choked against the 49ers. This is a difference, because when they had the ball last, he turned back into an immature quarterback that wasn't really seeing the field properly and didn't really understand the moment. He didn't really understand the situation. He was situationally illiterate at that time, trying to force the ball into spots, ultimately throwing an interception that he didn't have to throw because he could have just dinked and dunked. That's all he had to do, because obviously the 49ers are playing prevent. They want to keep everything in front of them. So he tries to take everything and tries to take that deep ball, which it wasn't necessary at that time, and throws an interception. And that's not what a mature quarterback does, especially in the playoffs. Especially not just in the playoffs, but in the last minute of the game and you're trailing. You have to make smarter throws than that, and he wasn't able to do that, which is why, again, I don't understand. But paying this guy $50 million after seeing that, whatever. JJ's gonna need to play first. JJ's gonna need to play some games before he can ask for anything. And I'm not sure about JJ. My thing about JJ is, and I'm a Michigan fan, I never saw it with JJ. I know he only lost one game as a starter. But that was a game where he threw, what did he throw? 2 pick sixes in that game? Like, I think it was Terrion Arnold who had the in the Alabama game who had that that interception called back when J.J. McCarthy was, I don't know, trying to throw the ball away. But where he was trying to throw the ball away, it was the same area where you would throw an out route. And at the combine, J.J. McCarthy could not throw out routes. So obviously Kevin O'Connell, when J.J. McCarthy's in the game, he's gonna have to have an out route be the absolute last read, right? If you've got 4 receivers, the 4th receiver needs to be running an out route. None of the first 3 need to be running an out route because he can't throw it, and he'll throw an interception. So a guy that can't throw out routes, maybe he's just gonna get better. I don't know. But right now, J.J. McCarthy, for me, can't make all of the throws. And if you can't make all of the throws, I don't think that you should be starting in the NFL, especially Sam Darnold. We can say what we want to say about Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy right now. Right now. David Barton, welcome in. Nobody likes laundry, I know. I did hear how Minnesota was trying to trade up for Neighbors and trade Justin Jefferson. Oh, my bad. All right, gun guy. Because I'm talking about quarterbacks. So I'm thinking you're saying JJ as in JJ McCarthy, but you're saying Justin Jefferson. All right, so that's the problem when you have 2 JJs. Now, you got to say JJ1 and JJ2. Sam Darnold is not very good, David Barton, but I think Sam Darnold is a better NFL quarterback than JJ McCarthy is right now. JJ McCarthy he's, like I said, he can't throw out routes. If you can't throw an out route, I don't know. I don't know what to say to tell you. But just as a recap for those of you who just arrived, smash that like button, by the way. This list started out with number 10, Caleb Williams. We're looking at the highlights here. Brock Purdy being 2 spots better than Jared Goff. Jared Goff at 7, Brock Purdy at 5. Jordan Love being at number 4. Now, Jordan Love is also better than Brock Purdy, apparently. It's the Packers thing. It has to be the Packers thing because, you know, they have the quarterbacks. And everyone wants them to hit on these 3 quarterbacks. It's just like the Steelers with coaches, right? The Steelers have had like 3 coaches in the last 50 years. And this is what people want from the Packers. It's like, oh, you know, they struck gold with Brett Favre, who they got from Atlanta. They didn't draft Brett Favre. And then they drafted Aaron Rodgers after he slipped. And he was there for 15 years or whatever. So Brett Favre was there for like forever. Aaron Rodgers was there for forever until, you know, Kirby Joseph became his father and ran him out of the NFC East or North. Sorry. And now they want Jordan Love to be there for 15 years. Like, it must be that, because I didn't see enough from Jordan Love to put him over Jared Goff. Now, if he continues on the pace that he was on, you could say, for the last half of the season, and then you take away that playoff game where he threw the game away and he learns from that and he becomes situationally literate. Yes, Jordan Love has he has more physical talent than Jared Goff. Obviously, he has a bigger arm. Obviously, he's more mobile. Great. But that doesn't make you a better quarterback. He has to put everything together. Now, if he puts everything better together consistently, then I could say, I could understand someone saying that Jordan Love is better than Jared Goff. But with a sample size of one season, and where you have to throw out the first 9 games of the season, right? Yes, Kirby is Aaron Rodgers' daddy, right? So you have to throw out the first 9 games of the season, and you have to make excuses by saying that the receivers weren't on the right page with Jordan Love, and they were running the wrong routes, and blah, 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 because they're all young and rookies and under the age of 23 and all this other stuff, right? So you have to do all of that for Jordan Love. And then you have to go, all right, let's look at the second half of the season. Come on. How is that fair? Because I think what's happening with Jared Goff, to be quite honest, is that people aren't throwing out that first season. And people aren't throwing out the first half of the second season. And now from the second half of the second season all the way through the third season to the NFC Championship game, people still want to say Goff is the same quarterback as he was when he first got to Detroit. So if that is the case, why are we not saying that for Jordan Love? That's my question. If that is the case, why are we not saying that for Jordan Love? Why not? Why is Jordan Love getting a pass that Jared Goff is not getting? Said Goff has the most playoff wins as a QB in the NFC. There you go. Only QB to take multiple teams to the NFC Championship. There you go. But he's bad. He's bad. He's not any good. He's number 7. He's number 7 on this list. Who's number 3? All right. Now, number 3 is laughable because of his proximity to Jordan Love. We're going to use Jordan Love as a reason why this doesn't make any sense. Jalen Hurts. On this list so far, because I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about how many quarterbacks I would take over Jared Goff, and Jalen Hurts was one of the only ones that I said it's almost definitive that I would take Jalen Hurts over Jared Goff because of his skill set, but I wasn't completely definitive. It would have been an easier sell for you to tell me that Jalen Hurts should be taken over Jared Goff, but there could be some pushback. Jalen Hurts being one spot above Jordan Love is crazy. See, obviously now when you get into the minutia and you look at the list for what it is, and then you start comparing people where they are and against other people, how is Jordan Love one spot behind Jalen Hurts? I think everyone takes Jalen Hurts 10 times out of 10 over Jordan Love. If you're talking about, let me start my franchise with this quarterback, and you ask 10 fan bases, I'm not even going to say 10 people. I'm going to say 10 fan bases. All of those fan bases, probably including the Dallas Cowboys, are taking Jalen Hurts over Jordan Love. Yes, we do want Philly to whip Green Bay in Brazil. We want everybody to whip Green Bay. And we want Jordan Love to have terrible games. I hope he has multiple 3 to 4 interception games. Right. Roy says that Love should be nowhere near Hurts. Yeah, that's again, like how is Hurts simply one spot better than Jordan Love? I don't get that. I don't understand. I don't understand how these lists have gotten. Now I've seen a podcast recently. Shout out Heavies, Woodward Heavyweights, and they had this guy. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like a reporter for CBS, and he does these lists, and he's sitting up here trying to explain like how they put the list together, and it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. He's like, oh, you have to take this and the weapons that they have and this, that, and the third thing and what they did with the weapons and yada, yada, yada. Man, if you're talking about that, the weapons that Jared Goff has and what he did with the weapons that he had, he took them to an NFC championship game. Now, are you trying to say that because Jared Goff's weapons were good, that's a handicap for Jared Goff? I mean, this is the reason why people are going out to try to get the best football players. You're not trying to go out there and get bad football players and go, here you go. Here you go, Jared. We got you a receiver that runs a 5.6. We got you a running back that runs a 5.3. We got you another receiver that if you throw the ball to him 20 times, he's probably going to catch it once. We got you another receiver that can't separate. And we got this other receiver over here who can't run the right route. But he's the best of them all because he runs a 5-flat 40. Now that we've got you all of this inferior talent, go ahead and show us what you can do. Gun Guy says Love won against a fraudulent Dallas team and threw the worst ball in the entire playoffs. That is true. Can the season start next month, please? We'll play a 30-game season. I wish. The problem Hurts has is his team. They're talented, but they quit faster than the Cowgirls. You know, I think they had Matt Patricia. And I think that makes any team quit. If you have Matt Patricia on your team in any capacity, it makes you that much worse. The only place that Matt Patricia worked was in New England. And the reason that he worked in New England is because everyone knew that he didn't matter and that Bill Belichick was the guy. That's it. He didn't have any say-so. He didn't have any pull. He only did what Bill Belichick allowed him to do. So he was pretty much an afterthought in New England. And, of course, he touts himself as calling the greatest defensive play in the history of the Super Bowl. But it is what it is. But Matt Patricia is a cancer. Matt Patricia doesn't make organizations better. He makes them worse. When he leaves, organizations get better. When he gets fired, organizations get better. We know firsthand, 100% that this is correct. But yeah, so the talent that the Eagles have, I think Howie Roseman does a wonderful job drafting. If I was going to talk about drafting GMs, I'm putting Howie Roseman after Brad Holmes. I'm saying Brad Holmes is number one. Howie Roseman is number two. Every time I look up, the Eagles are having an excellent draft. Now, it's easy to have an excellent draft when you're just drafting guys from the University of Georgia, right? They are the Philadelphia Bulldogs. I mean, I've never seen a team that has a whole defense that's entirely made up of players from one college team. Now, we're trying to be the Detroit one Tide, right? the Detroit Crimson Tide. But that is what that is. Gun Guy says worst coach ever. You are correct. He is the worst coach ever. I would even say Rod Marinelli was a better coach than what's his name? Than Matt Patricia. Rod Marinelli was just in a position that he wasn't supposed to be in. I guess he was just kind of in over his head. But Matt Patricia was a guy. Matt Patricia was a guy that just, he wanted to be smarter than everyone. He wanted to show everyone he was a rocket scientist, and he just rubbed people the wrong way. All right, let's get to number 2 because we're coming to the end here. I've got a lot of background noise. Apologize for that, guys. Number 2. Now, you guys are going to love number 2. Roy says, that's why I love Holmes. He doesn't just drive physical talent. He gets gritty, special athletes. That is true. All right, number 2. Are you ready for this? Number 2 quarterback in the NFC would not have been number 2 if he hadn't left Detroit, and that is Matthew Stafford. Matthew Boodham Kids Stafford. Matthew, my wife said my kids got booed Stafford. Matthew, I'm happy for the players Stafford. Matthew Stad Patford Stafford is your number 2 quarterback in the NFC. How is Matthew Stafford the number 2 quarterback in the NFC when his team barely made the playoffs? It was in doubt the last few weeks of the season. They had to win out. How is Matthew Stafford the number 2 quarterback in the NFC when he had a historical rookie on his team, where he had the Triple Crown winner on the team? We're talking about the weapons that people have. We're talking about weapons. Cooper Kupp is a weapon. Puka Nacua is a weapon. And Matthew Stafford barely made the playoffs. But he's the number 2 quarterback in the NFC. What is this list? What is this list? I do not understand. What are the criteria? Because, look, man, PFF, man, I wish they would just come out and explain all of these lists because they don't make any sense. They are simply to get us talking. That is why the thumbnail is a big laughing face emoji, because these list makers are just trolling at this point. You are just trolling at this point, putting Matthew Stafford as the number 2 quarterback in the NFC over Jalen Hurts. How is that even possible, man? Goff has done what Stafford never could, right? So he came to Detroit and he won playoff games, and it only took him 3 years. And here's the thing. Were it not for that slow start the season before last, and were it not for the referees botching the Rams and the Seahawks game, had everything else worked out the way that it worked out without those 2 things, the Detroit Lions were on the way to the playoffs before last year. And that 2022 season, they were on their way to the playoffs. They finished 8-2 down the stretch. The last 10 games, they won 8 of them and lost 2 of them. Excuse me. So he might have won a playoff game that year because nobody wanted to play the Detroit Lions. Had they made it into the playoffs after beating the Green Bay Packers, nobody wanted to play them. But I digress. It took him actually 3 years. We know what actually happened. We can speculate about 2022 all we want, but we know that in 2023, technically 2024, right? He won playoff games. We know that. Actually, no. Wait. I think the first one was in December, right? Yes. Am I wrong? I don't know. This extra game is messing me up. But anyway, in the 2023 season, he won playoff games. It took him 3 years. Just 3. To win playoff games. Matthew Stafford was here for 12 years and could not win a single one of them. Especially in 2014, where I did a pod and I did go over. That was when my pod was laggy, though. So y'all might not have seen it. I did a pod where I did go over Matthew Stafford's performance in that game. The first half was like us versus the 49ers. The first half. The second half, Matthew Stafford could not move that offense anywhere. I think they scored 3 points, and everyone was in an uproar about the picking up of the flag. Everyone was in uproar about that. But the fact of the matter is, Matthew Stafford had an opportunity to go down on a game-winning drive and win that football game. And guess what Matthew Stafford did on that game-winning drive? He turned the ball over twice. Now, how does one turn over the ball twice on the same drive? He fumbled the football. The Dallas defensive lineman picked it up and tried to run it back, and he then fumbled, and it was recovered by the Lions. So we had a fresh set of downs. And then on fourth down, Matthew Stafford got sacked and fumbled. He got strip sacked on fourth down. It was fourth down, so it really didn't matter. The fact that you can't get a pass off on a fourth down on a do or die down. It was it. That was it for us. There were no more possessions. If Jaquiski Tartt could catch a football, which is why he's no longer in the NFL, Matthew Stafford has no Super Bowl rings. Matthew Stafford threw a game-sealing interception directly to Jaquiski Tartt. And Jaquiski Tartt dropped it. And I think, you know what? In Jaquiski Tartt's defense, he was probably super duper surprised. That's probably why he dropped it. It probably got up on him so fast and he was like, oh, snap. Didn't see it coming. What's going on, Paul Thomas? What is going on? Salute to you. Roy says, if they put 9 in the Hall of Fame, I'll never respect Canton ever again. True Hall of Fame QBs drag their teams to the playoffs throughout their career. Peyton, Jim Kelly, Moon, Elway, Favre, etc. 9 ain't that guy. I get where you're coming from. But if the hatred for Detroit permeates into the Hall of Fame, which obviously you've got Detroit players in the Hall of Fame, so it's not like a guy who is, you know, you got Barry Sanders, you got Megatron, first ballot Hall of Famers. So it's not like if a guy is talented, he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame because he played for Detroit. But the narrative around Matthew Stafford, it's almost like storybook. Like, oh, here's a guy who was downtrodden for 12 years. He played in this moribund city and the franchise was garbage. And then he went and he won a Super Bowl the first year that he left. And that just showed that he was a great quarterback. And it's just that narrative that they have for Matthew Stafford, which may carry him into the Hall of Fame. I don't think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. But if you look at stats, which is why we called him Stat Padford. If you look at stats and you look at the fact that he is, he has a Super Bowl ring now, I could see him getting into the Hall of Fame. I could see it. Because there is kind of a criteria for the Hall of Fame, unlike this list. Now, I can't wait to boost Stafford's kids. Paul Thomas says, I can't wait to boo Stafford's kids. Gun Guy says, F them kids. Real football fans know Stafford wasn't what Rams fans made him out to be. That is definitely true. All right. So, I'm going to give you the number one quarterback on this list. Gonna rant a little bit. Gonna take a few of your comments about it, and then I'm going to have to go. But number one on this list is none other than Rain Dakota Prescott. Dak Prescott is the number one quarterback in the NFC. This is great. And this is why, because I was gonna start off with number one, but I was like, nah, that's not enough. It's not enough build up. Dak Prescott, by what metric, is the number one quarterback in the NFC? Roy said he is not the best quarterback in his division. That would be Jalen Hurts. Dak Prescott, I might need a minute. Okay, so here's the thing, right? And this is why I said when PFF makes a list, there's no criteria. I think that what happens with PFF is they just put together lists and then they realize that they've contradicted themselves, but then they don't want to take the time to put together a proper list, so they just put out a bunch of crap. This guy that's number 4 beat the brakes off of Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott threw like 18 pick sixes in that playoff game against Jordan Love. And Jordan Love's number 4, but Dak Prescott's number 1, and a better quarterback than Jordan Love is Jalen Hurts, who's also a better quarterback than Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott is number 1 and Jalen Hurts is number 3. Say what you will, Jared Goff didn't play great in that Dallas game. He did not. But we beat the Dallas Cowboys. And it came on the arm of Jared Goff throwing a pass to Taylor Decker. And I don't give a damn if the NFL wants to count that as or not. Decker reported. And we know that. I would take Stafford over Dak, and I don't even like Stafford. Okay? The Cowboys don't want to pay Dak again. They paid him once. They don't want to pay him again. They're not in a hurry to extend Dak. Tony Romo was higher in the mind of Jerry Jones than Dak Prescott is. Dak Prescott needs a new coach to help him stop throwing interceptions. Dak Prescott was outperformed by his backup, Cooper Rush. Roy, his name is actually Rain. I think it's spelled Rayne. And the reason that he doesn't go by it is because when he was a kid, people used to make fun of him by calling him Rainy, or Ryan or Rayan or whatever. But he said eventually, it's grown on him, so he might actually start going by Rain Dakota and dropping Prescott. All of these things it just makes no sense. Dakota Rain sounds like a Prince album. Purple Rain, Dakota Rain. I don't understand. I don't understand. And there's some things going on with my channel that I have to keep it under wraps. But some things going on. And once those things happen, I want to get Trevor Sycamore on the show. Because he's been on the heavies. And I want him to explain to me, to us all, in football land, how Dak Prescott is the number one QB in the NFC. As you guys have correctly pointed out, he is not even the number one quarterback in the NFC East. If Jaden Daniels is who they say he is, by the end of this season, Dak Prescott will be the third quarterback in the NFC East. I mean, he's not worse than Daniel Jones. That's not true. Okay. So he's going to be the third if Jaden Daniels, because like I said, he's a rookie, so we don't know. But if Jaden Daniels lives up to the hype, Dak Prescott will be the number 3 quarterback in the NFC East. Right now, he's number 2. How on earth is he the number 1 quarterback in the NFC? Dak Prescott being on a list of number 1 quarterbacks, I can't even think of what the list should be called. Number 1 quarterbacks to always lose in the first round of the playoffs. Something like that. That's the only list where he should be number 1 on. Top 10 quarterbacks that always lose in the first round of the playoffs. Has Dak Prescott been to an NFC championship game? Has he? Because I just... So, Paul Thomas, this wasn't a fan vote. This wasn't a vote. This was one of the PFF contributors, Trevor Sycamore, putting together a list. Okay? Putting together a list, and we'll go again. Now that we know the top, Dak Prescott number 1, Matthew Stafford number 2, Jalen Hurts number 3, Jordan Love 4, Brock Purdy 5, Kirk Cousins 6, Jared Goff 7, Kyler Murray 8, Geno Smith 9, Caleb Williams number 10. That's the list. That's what Trevor Sycamore thinks is the 1 through 10 of NFC quarterbacks. On that note, guys, it is crazy. It is insane. It makes no sense. Paul Thomas, you are correct. But on that note, I got to go. So I appreciate you guys as always. You said flip rain and golf and you're getting closer. Yes, you are. I appreciate you guys as always, man. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through, the couple weeks that we had of technical difficulties. And it seems that we've got them all fixed since I switched from vMix to Streamlabs. I thought Streamlabs or vMix was just a little bit easier to use, but Streamlabs is pretty easy in itself. And it's just better, it's better integrated with YouTube. I can schedule a a podcast or a stream on YouTube, and it shows up on my Streamlabs calendar, or I can schedule it on Streamlabs and it shows up on my YouTube. So, it's just better integrated. It's better for YouTube. The stream quality is so much better. The buffering is non-existent. So I appreciate you guys, man, hanging out with me, sticking with me, letting me know when there's technical difficulties. Here's Johnny came in earlier and let me know there was an echo. All of these things, man. So you guys are great. I love the chat. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep letting everybody know what's going on here. And we're just going to build this thing together, man. And hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow if you can make it. As always, until next time, peace.